this, by the way. Just started the recording. So yeah, so when we have decided to kind of talk about, actually for me, time management is one of the biggest thing I deal with when I have clients, when I speak to my clients, when I get engaged with somebody, because time management is one of the most important aspects of your leadership, of your mindset, as far as I'm concerned. So what was really interesting over the past, definitely since the lockdown, is that the motivation, the stress, the guilt, all of that is coming to us, and we don't quite know how to deal with it. So I kind of came up with this how to structure your day, this presentation. Please, as I said, feel free to send me as many questions as you want on the chat. That's why it's live. It's because we can interact and connect. Don't be afraid. There's no silly questions. Don't be afraid of asking or letting us know how you feel, because we can try and give you as many pointers as possible. And we're going to start now. I think really we've got more or less everybody. We've got the video recorded anyway for the people that registered and wanted to have a little bit of a support in between, because we know what it's like, perhaps the 11 o'clock kind of run away with you. So just a brief introduction for those who don't know me. I'm Valerie Delforge. I'm an international business strategist consultant, and I mentor and coach owners, managers, to really focus on what I believe are the key elements to support your business and increase profitability within your business. So I focus on what I call the Delforge 5, and it's around the budget, because for me, every decision that we make should be a financial decision. It's around leadership, to empower your team. But to me, leadership is more than that. It's also to empower your mindset. It's around reception, because whether you have a receptionist or not is where we make or break the money. I also focus on marketing strategy, because for me, that's the fuel of the business. That's how we're going to bring a buzz around the business. And last and not least, whoever knows me will know that I'm obsessed with retail. For me, retail is a way of life. It's a culture. It's impacting the business in many ways, more than once. And I just want everyone to fall in love with retail, if I'm honest. If I'm obsessed about it, everyone who's going to know me is going to be obsessed about it. But it's more of a fun element and systems that we input into place. So they're kind of the Delforge 5. I've had my consulting business for about 7 years now. And prior to that, I came from France. Some people think, where's she from? I am French. Maybe my accent is not super French, but I'm French. And I have worked for very, very big companies, very big brands straight away in my career. So the likes of Clinique, Clarins. I've worked for Urban Retreat, which is where I started working with hairdressers, nail technician, makeup artists, etc. I've also had my own little business at one point, which was little beauty salon in Saffron Walden near Cambridge. I also had, from there, worked with L'Occitane, who wanted to open spas in the UK, and just realized it was too expensive, so they stayed into retail. And being obsessed with retail, is great, but I've also really loved the element of anything to do with the treatment situation, treatment businesses. So I went to work with Bliss Spa in London, and Bliss was 50 staff members in one spa. And let's just say that all my leadership skills came into one at Bliss, and I'll tell you a few stories as we go along. Perhaps it was one of the most difficult, but yet the most rewarding element of my career. And one of the reasons why, if you don't know my work, is I have this character called Flossie. And Flossie is your difficult staff member. She's the one that's just being difficult. And, I couldn't give names, so I created this character called Flossie. So if you hear Flossie, it's that difficult staff member, the one that's just, watched too much Netflix, so she comes in and she's got the ump in the morning, or the one that's just giving you a hard time because she can. The one that's probably is very good. That's the problem with Flossie. They're actually very good, but they're giving you the hard time because they want it to be like them. So anyway, I'm diverting, but once I'd done that, I then went on to head of spa operation for Steiner. We were on -27 for Bliss. In a year, we managed to put it on a +6. And my boss said, thank you very much. Here's another 8 spas to look after. So became head of spa for Steiner in Europe. And what I've realized, I'm a single mom for about 15 years now. My girls at the time when I first started, when I first became single, they were 5 years old and 7 years old. And what I realized is if my time management wasn't on point, if my time managing very, very large teams, with the likes of Clarence, L'Occitane, I had about 230 people to look after. Now you end up managing the managers, you end up being far more organized on that sense. But if I don't have my time management on point straight away, I would find that, it's like being poked every day, isn't it? Somebody asking you a question. And if you don't control that, you don't control your time, and you don't become very structured in the way you're functioning, you will find that it becomes counteractive for not just your professional life, but also your personal life. So when I was at Clarence was amazing at organizing, at time management. And I had quite a few kind of setback. I was quite young. I didn't have my girls at the time. And my boss sat me down and kind of gone through the whole time management system that I needed to adopt in order to protect myself and have a work-life balance. And what I have found is that with time management, with the way we feel perhaps at the moment, we've got to look at leadership. We've got to look at what goes on around leadership. And I'll tell you why as we go along, and how is it linked to time management. But what's going on at the moment is affecting everybody's mindset. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know how you feel on the chat. But it's affecting everybody's mindset. I have clients saying to me, Valerie, I feel super guilty. I've got my son at home. I should be working on my business. Maybe I should be learning Italian whilst I'm at it. Maybe I should come out of this lockdown situation having reworked my whole strategy. So this whole sense of guilt that is happening, and this sense of motivation or demotivation that is also happening. I have a few people saying to me, actually, I want to have the conversation where maybe I don't want to come back the way I was. And I think we do need to look at that. We need to look at what happens if I want to have my breakfast before I get out, to go to my salon and actually sit down, because when was the last time you did that? When was the last time you came home at 5 o'clock and actually enjoyed your children, if you have any? When was the last time you actually did this yoga session in the morning because you wanted to? So we do need to look at this lockdown in a different way. And for that, in my view, we've got to look at what leadership looks like. This is before coffee. In normal time, when there's no lockdown, before coffee, this is what we've got to deal with. We've got to open the salon. We've got to look at bookings. We've got to look at cancellations. Any cleaning, has the cleaner cleaned? Any preparation, any sickness from staff members or perhaps from your clients themselves, any lateness, same for staff members or clients, your figures, your customer your customer service, your customer retention, suppliers, targets to achieve, bank to please, emails to answer, last minute issues, etc. All of this is before you even have a coffee. before you even have time to focus on what you want to focus. And I've done it myself. I used to come to Bliss and thinking I've not even had my coffee yet, and I've got about 15 different things to add to my to-do list because everyone wants a piece of me. I remember thinking that we had an issue with the water, and we couldn't kind of focus on the pedicures at all. We had to find a solution. And I remember we had to cancel some clients. And obviously you had the clients that was really fed up because they had to be moved to another day. You had clients that had to be moved from Flossie 1 to Flossie 2. You had Flossie 2 who had the aunt because Flossie 1 has been sick for the 4th time and she's got to deal with all these clients. And all of this negativity is hitting you. You've not even started your day. And you're looking at your client and thinking, oh my God, what how am I going to cope with this? So it's very stressful to be a manager, to be an owner. It can be, I'm not saying it's always, it can be very stressful because we have to deal with all the negativity and because we have to deal with all the stuff that's happening and because there's a lot of operational stuff that we've got to do, operational issues that we've got to deal with. And because it's so operational, sometimes it's very same old, same old. It's very, the same thing over and over again. How do I keep my mindset? How do I keep my mindset strong when it's all kind of flussies around me, where the customers could be difficult, where perhaps I'm going through some stuff at home? So for me, leadership is very much all about mindset. And when I do look into a salon, when I do speak to my clients, when I do kind of get involved with my clients, I look at their leadership skills. I look at two set up within the business. Number one, I look at the management team. How do they communicate? What is the situation with them? How do they empower others? And number two, I look at reception. They're the two teams I look at before even looking and thinking of empowering the service providers. It's all about the managers and the reception first. And if there's a lack of leadership, if there's a lack of support on their leadership, for me, this is what happens. The managers or the owners feel a little bit overwhelmed. And that's whether you've got managers or not, because what I did realize, having worked for very large, with very large teams, and having had my own business and having worked with smaller businesses, it doesn't matter if you've got 250 people to look after or 2 people to look after or just yourself. It is your mindset that is very, very important, and it's very much how you structure yourself that's going to be the key to your business. And in any sense, when you have got less people to manage, you've got less people to delegate to, and that in itself is very, very difficult because it's all on your shoulder. So when you are lacking leadership, when you are lacking of these skills, and I will go through those skills in a minute, you feel a little bit overwhelmed. You don't know where to start. So I get clients kind of telling me, Valerie, I open my laptop, I look at everything I need to do. There's so much information out there. I don't know where to start. There's a lack of directions. There's a massive amounts of frustration. And for me, frustration and guilt is one of those emotions that actually doesn't get you anywhere, but really suffers on your mind, makes your mindset suffer, really. Your mindset gets affected when there's a lack of leadership. Your work-life balance for sure is affected because all the stuff we've got to deal with, whether you're managing team or not, there's definitely a stagnation, very much a stagnation. There's also a lack of control. We don't feel on top of the business. We feel, inside the business, and we're just firefighting as much as possible. We're a bit fed up. It gets to that stage where, I'm just fed up. I meet a lot of owners, before the lockdown, very much, well, I'm just fed up. I don't know where to start. She's not motivated. All of that is because of the lack of leadership. There's definitely a routine that is happening, the comparison syndrome, especially in particular with social media. We compare to she does better. Oh, look at her. And that to me is adding pressure to yourself for sure. There's definitely an element of last minute. Everything is last minute. We just keep catching up on things. Quick. I need to do that. That's true when it comes to marketing strategy as well. And that's why I talk about marketing strategy. And there's definitely a sense for me of uncertainty. We don't quite know where we're going. We don't quite know what's happening in terms of our vision, perhaps. And a lot of people feel very isolated. It's very lonely at the top. And if you work with a smaller team, it's definitely lonely. And if you work with a big team, you can't do what you would do with a small team. So this kind of feeling of isolation is definitely because of that lack of leadership. And it's why I talk about leadership a lot. Because to me, the minute we focus on leadership is the minute you will feel that your mindset will change and will switch. There are what I call the soft skills of leaderships. And actually, Andrea, what I'm thinking right now, I didn't put any books that really have helped me with leadership. So I will send you a list that perhaps you can share at one point, because there's some brilliant books that you can, read. You can listen to them in Audible if you don't really feel like reading. For some reason at the moment, I just feel like I need to listen to books rather than read, or podcasts. I've not got the headspace for reading really enough. But again, no pressure. It's okay. There's all sorts of things you can do. These are the soft skills of leaderships that I believe if you do work on them, if you start kind of really develop, you will find that your leadership is a lot more focused, and therefore your day-to-day will be a little bit more acceptable because you will see a little bit more of the bigger picture. So obviously it's the self-motivation. Why do we do what we do? There's a brilliant guy called Simon Sinek. I'm going to write him on the chat, because that you need to see on, if you haven't met him, I hope you meet him. If you do, please tell me. He's amazing. And Simon Sinek does something called Start With Why. And Start With Why means, sorry, there's someone that's, we need to mute. Simon Sinek does something called Start With Why. And Start With Why is all about why we do what we're doing. He's on YouTube, just type him and you'll find Start With Why. Listen to that, it's brilliant. It's all about self-motivation. Why do we do what we do? You know, there's a sense of responsibility, and that responsibility about what we do, what we should do. The teamwork as well. How do we structure our team to make it easy on us? The decisiveness is all about making decisions that you believe are the right decision. And I really strongly believe there's no wrong decision, because as far as I'm concerned, you make a decision and you make it happen, you make it right. But that decisiveness, sometimes when there's a lack of leadership, we kind of question ourselves all the time. What if I do that? And what if I didn't do that? And maybe I should have, could have, oh my God, I didn't. So decisiveness is definitely a skill in leadership that is going to help you in the long run. Working under pressure is also a skill that we need to develop. And more than ever now, because when we are going to open a door, we are hoping it's going to be very busy. And I believe it will be. You know, there are a lot of things you can do for it to make it happen. And I guess at the moment there's a sense of uncertainty. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But working under pressure is very much, you know, what I was saying earlier. Why shouldn't you have your breakfast before you start the day? Why shouldn't you do your yoga, even though it's busy? Why shouldn't you have team meetings, even though it's busy? You know, when I hear managers or owners say, oh, we don't have time for meetings, for me, it's like, that's when the leadership stops, because there's a lot of assuming and the lack of communication. Flexibility, we have had to be more flexible than ever with what's going on at the moment. More flexible than ever. And flexibility is a skill, very much so. And I know when I started in managing, you know, larger teams with Clarence, it was very square. And if you had a round idea, oh, God forbid, you know, it wouldn't fit in the square. So you couldn't have an idea, for sure. So I became very, very square and very process-driven, and it would have to be this way. But I learned as the time went on that my flexibility of thinking and doing things had to come as a skill, because otherwise, if it's too square, you become more of a dictatorship leadership, which is not necessarily going to motivate the team in the long run. So flexibility was one of my skills that I definitely had to develop. And for sure, right now, with what's going on, negotiation skill is another one, conflict resolution is another one, how to, you know, stop kind of things from happening. And integrity, we need to work on our, I guess, integrity, core values perhaps are not defined enough. And in some respect, you review that when we talk about marketing. What are your core values? What are the integrity that you want to show people, which is very, very important. Now, there's one more, obviously, that to me is very, very important, and perhaps one of the key elements to leadership, and is delegation. You know, delegation is a soft skill. And why? Because it empowers others. Now, you might say, well, I work on my own. Absolutely loads of things you can delegate to perhaps a virtual PA. Perhaps you can find a little, you know, admin person to help you with all the invoices and bits and pieces you don't want to do, so you can have more time. And now is the time to look at your structure. Now is the time to think, okay, I've got just one person, I've got two people, I'm doing all of these things, I finish at 10 o'clock at night, I don't have a weekend, now is the time to look at what can you delegate. And if you do have a team, who can you delegate? And what can you delegate? Who can you delegate to, and what can you delegate? Really, really important to kind of look at delegation as a way of supporting you and helping you, because if you become too closed, you know, and I meet a lot of managers, I may as well do it myself, they're going to do it wrong, or, you know, I haven't got time to even tell them what to do, or don't even give them the time to do stuff, you know, the managers to do stuff, then it's not going to help you, because you're going to be the one doing that at 10 o'clock at night. So delegation is definitely a skill we need to work on and focus on. But there are two, and anyone who's worked with me will know that for me, they are the most important soft skills that we need to develop as a leader. And number one is communication. Communication to me is one of the most important aspects of the soft skill, and one of the most important aspects of your personal and professional life. You know, too much communication kills the communication. Too little causes frustration and misunderstanding. And there's a lot of assuming. Well, I assume if she does that, or I assume she knows her figures. I assume they know what's going on in marketing. There's a lot of assuming. And to me, communication definitely sets the expectations. It builds really strong bonds, and it engages the team or whoever you talk to through what I call the chocolate language. You know, chocolate language is something that is very appealing, like, oh, yes, this sounds amazing. There's a brilliant book, but we will give you the list. And obviously I'm sure Lilac remembers it because it's called The Drop the Pink Elephant by Bill McFarland. It's a brilliant book on communication. It's all about how and what you should do to engage those clients, those people around you, those teams. And to me, I have been obsessed with communication. You know, if we know that 55% of the communication is body language, then wow, I need to see what's going on within my body language to make sure that I impact people a lot stronger than I do. So communication is definitely a skill to look after, to kind of really nurture and learn as much as possible. But obviously, last but not least, and this is what we're all doing today, right now, this morning, is time management. Time management is a leadership skill. It's a leadership soft skills. Why? Because if you time manage yourself, you will feel organized, you'll feel on top of things, you're on the business, you're not firefighting every single corner of your business. I need to do this, I need to do that, oh, I haven't got time. And all these feelings, that sense of achievement will be very strong. It creates a structure. And most of all, it focuses everyone around you, not just you, but everyone, because everyone knows your expectations. Everyone knows, okay, she's doing this or that. So I wanted to go through these leadership skills, and I wanted you to understand that to me, leadership is not, as I said, whether you're managing a team or not. You can be the leader of your life, the leader of your vision, the leader of what you want to achieve. But now what? Now we've got all the time. And this is what's been really kind of fascinating in some ways. You know, I wish it was under different circumstances that we would meet now. And I wish, all of this was not happening. But what's been fascinating is that we've got the time. We've got the time, but what's going on with our emotions? How do we feel? We have plenty of time. We've got our friends, perhaps that I've never talked to so many friends for the past 3 weeks on lovely in WhatsApp and video and coffees and all of that. It's been lovely. We have all the time. We've got to adapt to a new routine, which is perhaps what is a little bit strange and different, and never had to do that before. That new routine that we've got to kind of find in a way. There's definitely some sense of a little bit of boredom going on because, oh, God, the time, every day seems the same. I normally rush around and I don't. So some people do feel that boredom. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago and she said to me, Valerie, I've got all this time and I know I should be working on my business, but I just can't get myself motivated. I can't get my head around it. And I feel guilty, and here's that comparison system kind of syndrome that comes in, because I feel so guilty because everyone else seems to be doing far more and far better. So that guilt is coming in all the time. And I feel that obviously with what's going on, and because we don't know how long it's going to be for, there's that lack of vision that suddenly is, I don't quite know. I thought I was going to do X, Y, and Z. Like me, I thought I was going to do X, Y, and Z in March and April and May, and suddenly, boom, it's disappeared. So how is the vision, that lack of vision, affecting you right now? Because there's this whole sense of uncertainty. We don't know. I was talking to an owner yesterday who was kind of very angry about the fact that, and I understand it, her team is on furlough, they're getting paid. I can't get paid as much as she does anyway, as they do anyway, because, she's getting more dividends than pay. So she's feeling very angry about it, and the team is just having a good time. They're not having a good time. No one's having a good time. And to be honest, I would rather have them being occupied painting their rooms and doing something to occupy themselves so their mindset is strong, because otherwise, what are you going to come back to? So we've got that uncertainty and that kind of feeling that keeps coming at us. And this is why I wanted to do this presentation to you. But please do let me know, on the chat, if you feel any of that, if you feel that you've talked to people who feel this kind of feelings. But for me, it's what we call procrastination. And procrastination is one of the biggest killer of dreams. Procrastination actually, doesn't help anything, because it makes you feel on a day in and out where you are not perhaps focusing on the right things, and you're not being proactive is the way. So procrastination I'm fascinated by. Why do we procrastinate, and how and why does that happen? It's a fascinating subject, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about procrastination. But what I do get is, I wanted to do this today, but I wanted to, work on my vision, but, there's always a little but that's coming in behind. And obviously all of this is putting a sense of pressure, that guilt, that demotivation, that kind of lack of motivation. And when I hear people telling me I should have, I could have, I didn't do this, I must do this, oh my God, I need to do that, I haven't done that, or I have to do this. All these words, and it goes back to communications. I don't know about you, but they feel very pressurized. It feels like already I haven't even started the day and I feel pressure. I feel that, I should have done this, I couldn't have done this. That's pressure. And I was with a client actually just before we did the lockdown, and she was on Facebook constantly. Oh my God, have you seen this? Oh my God, I should do this, I haven't done this. And I said to her, if you don't stop talking that way, if you don't stop looking at Facebook, I'm going to have to sack you as a client. You've got to stop saying those words, because the only pressure that you're putting on yourself, you are putting it on yourself. No one else does. You are. So we've got to look at how we can support and create and nurture our mindset. And it's got to start with you and the way you talk to yourself. And it's a fascinating exercise. I have made her do that. For the next 3 weeks, you're going to write down what you say to yourself when you remember it. And she called me 2 weeks later, and she had a look at her notes, because sometimes we have thoughts we don't necessarily remember it, but every thought you remember that you say to yourself, write it down. Anyway, she called me and she said, oh my God, I wouldn't talk like this to my worst enemy. I've been absolutely horrible to myself. Well, let's start changing that language, because that starts the motivation. That starts easing that pressure. That starts to ease that pressure, which to me is very important. So how do we nurture our mindset? To me, it's through habits. Habits are very, very important, and even more so now that we've got the time, because otherwise we wake up at 10 o'clock, we're still in pajamas by 12, and we've watched a Netflix series and we think, may as well do the afternoon, and then let's finish the series by tonight. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And personally, I do that with my daughter on the Sunday. I'm quite happy to do that. And I, like my friend said, I bet you writing down on your diary when you can procrastinate. Absolutely, because I tell you what, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty about procrastination. When you do it in the middle of the week and you kind of thought you was going to do it that and this, that's when you start feeling the pressure, and you talk to yourself in a terrible way in some respect, and you're adding that pressure. So communication is very much, find out what ticks you. I call it own the day. Let's own the day. What can I do today? How am I going to own the day? And actually, when I work with teams, I work on owning the morning. How am I going to own that morning? It's like a bit of a military operation with them, because if they're set up for the morning, their mindset is set up. I'm not saying it doesn't go down during the day, but that real strong owning the day. What do I want to achieve today? Be very mindful as how you talk to yourself and what you do say. do look at your time management, do focus on time management as well, and find your focus. Find your focus, find something that you want to do. It's okay if you don't want to learn Italian, French, or Chinese. It's okay if you don't want to do a new hobby. It's okay if you don't want to work on your business more than an hour a day. It's fine. There's no right or wrong of doing things. But what is very, very important is that you feel okay about what you want to do. Otherwise, you will kind of crumble. Now, what I did notice as well is that sometimes, especially on social media, sometimes this connotation of what's happening, like, be careful, it's a pandemic, there are people dying. And I was talking to someone yesterday who was going through a really, really, really difficult time, not knowing if her husband had the virus or not, how it's affecting her and her children. There's all this kind of heaviness around what's going on at the moment. So find your critical friend, find someone you can phone and pick up the phone and think, I need to unload. I call it the critical friend, to be able to unload. I think is very, very important. There are some Facebook groups out there that are very positive, and there are some that are not so great and not so positive. So be careful. And for me, BABTAC, why I love being involved is because you have got that mindset of that positive attitude towards, what you do. And for me, it's very, very important to connect with those critical friends, I guess. Now, let me just take some water very quickly. Any questions so far? No comments? Are you all okay? Very quiet this morning. So do ask me if you've got anything on the chat. If you can't find the chat, it should be at the bottom of your screen. And if you look around, there's a little thing called chat, if I'm not wrong. Now, there's 3 factors as to why time management doesn't work. Or we feel that the to-do list is just, it's always the same to-do list. I've always got the same things. Number 1 is your to-do list isn't detailed enough. It's not good to say, and that's that I see a lot of to-do lists, right? So I give you an example. I must launch this treatment. Okay, so talk to me about launching this treatment. What does that mean? I must create the poster. Right. Write down, create the poster. When is it coming out? Oh, it's on the 14th. When are you going to do the poster by? Oh, I need to do it 2 weeks before. When is it going to go on the shop floor? Oh, it's going to go on to that day. Okay, when are you training the team on the treatment? What training are they having? When are you doing the training? Do you see what I mean? You detail absolutely every single bit from your campaign that you want to do, from everything that you want to do. It's not just a generic. If it's too generic, you will find that it's just a great big elephant to eat. And you know that saying, I'm sure you do. I love it. English saying, how do we eat an elephant? In small bite chunks. And if it's not in small bite chunks, you are not going to do it. And it's going to be coming back to your to-do list again and again and again, because it's not detailed enough. So it's got to be very, very detailed. Number 2 is your vision is not clear. So when we feel a little bit demotivated, when it is that, that day where I can't do this, perhaps the vision is not clear enough. Because if your vision is clear, if you know what you want to achieve by the end of the year, you'll wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to spend 2 hours every day to do this, so I can achieve my vision. So perhaps your vision is not strong enough. And this is perhaps why I'm having a lot of conversation with some clients or some people who are thinking, I don't know if I want to come back to this. I don't know if I want to do treatments anymore. I don't know, maybe we need to have strong and difficult conversations at the moment, because if your vision is not clear, it's perhaps what's going on. I'm not saying it is, but it could be what's going on at the moment in terms of that. Now, number 3 is that your day is unstructured. So if your day is not structured, well, we're just going to wake up and we're just going to have breakfast at 12 o'clock, and it's just going to be a little bit kind of a snowball effect on those. So let's talk about structure your day, because this is why you're here, ladies and gentlemen. And, for me, was very, 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 very important is my routine, your routine. And that's the weekly routine. And it doesn't matter if I'm locked down or not. It's a weekly routine. It doesn't matter right now. Wake up, set up an alarm. Monday to Friday, that's what I do. I set up an alarm. I get up. I do a little bit of exercise. I'm not saying I'm like, pumping iron and everything else. I'm just doing a bit of yoga, a bit of stretching. I'm just really feeling kind of, meditation. I love meditating. I've been meditating for a good 3-4 years now. 3 years, definitely, on the regular, every morning. And I love it. It's absolutely really calming me. I do a bit of stretching and exercises. I get ready. I eat my breakfast because I'm French. I can't not eat breakfast or lunch. I don't understand anyone who doesn't eat breakfast or lunch or dinner. So I do have my breakfast. And the key to the structure at the moment with what is going on is to go out and get some fresh air. Change the scenery. Completely change the scenery. Don't go straight into your laptop. Don't go straight into your to-do list. And one of the reasons why, when I became a consultant, I remember going to see the doctor and I said, "Oh, doctor, I'm feeling really stressed." And he said, "Go out for a walk before you start your day," because it's the first time I was working from home. I used to have an office to go to. And I started working from home. I've now got somewhere to go to, and it's that routine, isn't it? And I think that's what's going on at the moment. We have nowhere to go to. So he said to me two things: get up, go out for a walk, have a coffee somewhere. Obviously, we can't now, but have a little coffee somewhere, read a newspaper, come back home. And it's as if you're going into a different setting and a different hat. And number 2 is do yoga. I thought, what kind of a doctor is he? I'm stressed, I should have this and that. And actually, I did his routine for 3 weeks and it changed my mindset completely. So now we can't just go and have a coffee. And perhaps, I'm in the center of London, zone 2. I don't really want to go out that much. I still find it a little bit busy and it bothers me. So unless I wake up very early with my 19-year-old daughter, which is very rare with her, although I'm getting her up, but 6 o'clock is not an option. At 9 o'clock, we could, but still, I don't like kind of going out too much, but we've got a garden and we stay outside in the garden. When it's nice weather, we eat, we do a little bit of a star jump, whatever it takes to get your mind and in a different mindset. And for me, it's very, very, very important to kind of go for that walk and get ready. Don't stay in your pajamas Monday to Friday. It will not support you. It will not help you. Try and put a little, I'm not saying, go suited and booted, but get ready. It does change the mindset. It really, really does. Now, within the day, I do what I call the 2-hour slots. So I kind of work on my 2 hours. It could be something personal. It could be self-development. It could be reading a book, and I allocate myself 2 hours. Now, if I've had enough after an hour and a half reading my book, I'm not going to be like, oh no, I must do this for 2 hours. No, I'm just going to go and sit down in the kitchen. I've just allocate 2 hours for myself. Then it could be 2 hours for business. It could be 2 hours with my daughter. Anything that is going to structure is on a 2-hour slot. Now, one key thing when you do a task, and I'll talk to you if in a minute about children, because I know that just completely goes out of window when we have young children. Mine are 19 and 21 now, so it's very, very different. But I do know it's very, very different when you have got young children. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But when you do a task, when you do go into your, reading, personal task or professional task, switch off your phone. And why? Because what we do is we suddenly reading a book, like, oh, the phone has gone off, and we just go on the phone. Next thing you know, you're on LinkedIn, you're looking at a guy selling stuff in India, and you've lost 10 minutes. What is the point? At all? No point at all. So when you do something, switch off your phone. Just be focused. There's a very good saying, multitasking is messing up several things at once. And I strongly believe that. So do one thing at a time. So when I do focus on my task for 2 hours, I don't have my phone nowhere near me. And I have now, which has been a revelation over the past couple of years, got a work phone and a personal phone. And I think that really has changed my mindset, because you can definitely switch off your work phone and put it aside and not look at it. And I leave it in the kitchen. It's nowhere near my bedroom. It's nowhere near me. So you can switch off. That's another really, really important aspect of being able to manage your time. Turn off email notification is a very big one. Because, you know, when you work on something and suddenly you have, oh, I need to see what this person is asking me, because, you know, I'm a brain surgeon. If I don't answer right now, it's going to be actually really terrible for everybody. It's not. My boss used to say to me, you know, Valerie, we're only selling creams and lipsticks. Can you take things into perspective? No one's going to, you know, be ungrateful if you don't answer within that minute. And I thought, yeah, that's true. And that's been something that I've done from a long time ago. I don't have my email notification, and I actually have time when I'm going to look at my emails. It'd probably be in the morning, at lunchtime, and perhaps in the afternoon a bit later on. And that's my 3 times looking at my emails. And I don't worry about them in between, because they're taken care of. You know, look at your personal and business growth planning. For me, time management is very important. When I do my to-do list, I don't separate personal and professional. I put them together. My to-do list is together, because otherwise, I tell you what takes over is business, and I forget about my personal stuff. So really important to perhaps do a list of all your personal, all your business growth planning. And very, very important at the moment, and I keep, you know, really reiterating that, find a critical friend, do stay connected, do have those virtual coffees, you know, do have, you know, through WhatsApp, through Facebook, whatever it takes to kind of keep that connection with people. I think is very, very important. And power napping and meditation. I put power napping because when my daughter was young, she wasn't sleeping. So I basically have managed to, you know, feel so much better with power napping. But if you don't want to do power napping, go on to meditation. It saved my life, basically, as far as I'm concerned. So really a must is, there's a brilliant book, and I have been doing the Miracle Morning for a good 3 to 4 years now. It's a Facebook group. It's a book as well. It's Al, I can't remember his surname. I will send you the list anyway. But it's called the Miracle Morning. And what happens, he had an accident many years ago, and he kind of decided, I need to change my life around. And you don't have to be part of the Facebook group. It's a little bit American, you know, but actually it's quite engaging. I kind of was at first, I was really into it. Now, not so much, because I have got a very good routine anyway. But it did help. I guess at one point when I got very, very busy, you know, you kind of put that routine aside a little bit, and it did help to restructure myself. So you never stop growing. You never stop growing. It's very important. And that Miracle Morning book allowed me to kind of reset. It goes on to what we call savers, things that you should be doing in the morning. I don't know if anyone does it, but it's a really, really strong book, and strong way of looking at things and focusing on things. Have a break at weekends, you know. Monday to Friday, I do that routine. I wake up, I do my routine, I get out a little bit, I come back in, I have, you know, I go into my work, my 2-hour slots, you know, really on the Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is cleaning day, you know, deep house cleaning. I've never been so clean. I think we're all going to have a showroom by the end of the lockdown. You know, I'm now doing the cutlery drawer after we talk because it's been obsessing me. So, you know, I've set that time aside. We have got to kind of, you know, have that break. On the Saturday is going to be, you know, it's going to be cleaning day and just relax. And on the Sundays, my pajama days and looking at Netflix if I want to. And if I don't want to, I can do something else, but it's my break. It's important to have that break. But if you have been more proactive, you know, during the week, you'll find that you're not feeling guilty about having that time out and watching the series on Netflix, you know. And really, please stop comparing. And there's a lot of women out there in particular who has, you know, younger children perhaps to deal with. I was talking to someone who has a baby, and she said, I feel so bad. I haven't got time, you know, to do anything. And, you know, I'm constantly with her, another person, you know, today actually said, oh, I couldn't do what you asked me because, you know, he's 5 years old. He's been very clingy. Enjoy it. Enjoy your time with your children. That is the best, you know, the most rewarding element of anyone's life. So if you have got your, you know, your children, enjoy it. And just stop feeling guilty. Stop feeling guilty. It's not going to get you anywhere. And if you do grab half an hour in the morning or half an hour at night, which is what I used to do when my girls were little, I used to take an hour in the evening. actually the morning, because the morning for me, I'm far more proactive. But in the evening, I would do half an hour reading, and sometimes I do Audible because it just was a lot better for me. You find that time. If I can find half an hour in between the children every day, that's 2.5 hours a week. That is a lot. We can achieve a lot in 2.5 hours. So that guilt is not going to get you anywhere. Just enjoy, looking after your children. They kind of need it at the moment. So the key to time management is very much do one task at a time. Don't try and multitask. It is not working. It never works. It never will. And the massive key, which I'm giving to you today, the key to time management is you prepare your week ahead. So on a Sunday, I sit down and I take 2 hours, now an hour and a half, I guess, in the evening. It can be a Monday, it can be a Friday, it can be a Saturday. I don't mind when you're doing it. But it needs to be on the week to week. So if you start on I do every Sunday. I've got a client who likes every Friday because that's her admin day. Do every Friday. But don't do a Friday and a Wednesday. It doesn't work. It has to be the same day of the week. And on a Sunday, I take a couple of hours aside and I plan my week ahead. Planning your week ahead is the key to time management. That's whether you're on lockdown or whether we are or when we opened as well. What do I want to happen when? I travel a lot, and I know when I travel, I get seasick. It sounds ridiculous. I get seasick on the train. If I try to open my laptop, I can't do it. And it's a shame, really, because I travel a lot, so it's slightly annoying. But why stress myself? If I know I've got 2 hours travel and 2 hours back, that's 4 hours travel, and I try to work, but I'm going to feel sick. Why stress myself? On that day, I know I wouldn't put any priorities at all. But I'm fine because I'm putting my priorities on the other days. So the key at the moment is to think I need 2 priorities a day, and that's all you have to do. 1 or 2 priorities a day. If there's a day where you just want to relax, that's all you do. You just relax, but you don't put your priorities. Now, the key to the priorities as well is they are either personal or they're professional. As I said, I mix them together because otherwise I don't do any of my personal stuff. So for it to work, it has to be kind of stuck together. There are 2 brilliant books to read. And actually, I did put more books than I thought, but I will send you the list because there is no name on there. But if you write, you probably have read it. It's a very known book on procrastination called Eat That Frog, which is a brilliant book. And another one is Getting Things Done from David Allen, and also really helped me on my time management. And although my boss had taught me time management when I was, much younger, I didn't have my girls. I must have been about 25, and I was starting to manage bigger teams. And, and I started feeling really the pressure. Although she taught me that, I never stopped learning about time management. I think never stop learning. You might pick up on things that you love and things that clicks with you. And that's why I never believe it's a one size fit all. It needs to talk to you, but do please plan your week ahead. It's very important. But those 2 books on procrastination are absolutely brilliant. And obviously a bonus tip is to revisit your vision. You have got to revisit your vision, because perhaps at the moment, like I said, I have people that I've been talking to that are not necessarily, thinking they want to go back to something or want to change the way they work, or perhaps, it's all about their budget. It's all about looking at the vision. It's all about understanding what is it they want to achieve by the end of the year. And we can make that happen by knowing. Now, I call this the time killers. The time killers is people or stuff that kills your time and makes you procrastinate. And we need to manage those time killers. So number 1, ladies, is unfortunately people. People are time killers. I know my daughters thinks I'm an Uber driver. When I work from home, they just think I don't work. So they think mums can drop me. I'm sure if I get £1 for every driving I'm doing for them, I'll be pretty rich by now. They just think I don't work. So they have got to be set their expectations. Otherwise they think I'm here. You're here, aren't you? You're just here. And especially at the moment, with what we're going through, you're here. And I think especially if you have children, and perhaps they're a bit older or whatever, maybe you've got your husband, maybe whatever your situation, you need to start setting up expectations. At one point I was talking to so many people, and I had to kind of start, okay, let me kind of manage all the appointments that I'm getting through. Otherwise, you kind of surrounded yourself. Everyone wants a bit of you. Everyone wants a bit of your time. If you don't set your expectation, now I've got only one daughter here with me. My other one is in Thailand, actually, which is another thing. But we both have expectations. She knows exactly when I'm going to spend time with her and when I'm not. And you might think I'm taking it a step up. It allows me to really, and allows her to know my schedule. So I'm setting an expectation. And this is something you should be doing whether we're on lockdown or not. Otherwise, I used to have the lovely Lady Roscoe. Lady Roscoe used to come every week at Bliss to have a manicure. She was 90 years old. She was ever so lovely. Really told us so many lovely stories. It was brilliant. But Lady Roscoe wanted me to, for some reason, she loved French people, and she just wanted me to sit down with her and just talk to her for half an hour. Now, I don't have, half an hour a week to give her, because that's 2 hours. That's literally 2 hours, yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, 2 hours for the month, for 4 weeks. I can't give her all that. That's too many hours. But what I used to do to manage her expectation is, at one point I would say to her, Lady was, well, at one point managers used to say, Valerie's very busy in a meeting, so twice in a month they would say that. And one time I would sit down with her and spend the half an hour with her because I loved her stories. And another time I would sit down on eyes to eyes, on her level, remember about the communication, and say to her, Lady Roscoe, I've got 10 minutes and I've got very important phone calls afterwards. How are you today? So I'm setting the expectation before even talking to her. Very, very important. Otherwise, everybody wants a piece of you. And it's very important that you are in charge of your time. The bad habits, it takes 21 days to change a habit. Now, if we think about that, what do you want to change now? We have got the time. Is it your time management that you want to be more in control of? Is it perhaps you want to stop smoking, or you want to stop, start yoga, or you want to actually, you're not doing this enough, or you want to structure this? Bad habits, it takes 21 days. And, a lot of time when I call it a time killer is because the mindset is always going back to the default system. We always go back to what we know is a lot easier. So the bad habits is something we need to tackle, whether you're on lockdown or not, for sure. The to-do list itself is usually a time killer, because either it's not detailed enough, it's not reviewed. I had a client who said, I've done it all. And I looked at her to-do list, and actually, when I sat down with her and we looked at everything she needed to do, I did about 30 things on it, and, detailed it, and realized actually everything was in her head. And it was far more, when it's in your head and it's not dumped on paper, it's just going to worry you, and you're going to have a shower and you say, oh, I didn't do this, or, suddenly it's going to pop into your mind. So your to-do list itself could be a little bit of not managed properly, and you do need to review it definitely weekly. Your priorities, we don't know how to prioritize, and that's whether it's personal or professional priorities. We just have no clue how to prioritize, and perhaps you're prioritizing too many things. So if that's the case, my suggestion to you is to perhaps look at your priorities, and review them, and perhaps just do one at a time, one a day instead of two a day. And when I look at a priority, perhaps I look at the accountant, he wants something by Monday. Let's say he wants something by Monday morning first thing. Now I know that he's going to the pub at 5 o'clock on a Friday, right? And I know he's not going to look at anything because I'm paying him far too much. He's not going to look at anything until Monday morning. So I'm not going to do anything for the Friday. I'm going to wait till the Monday, perhaps lunchtime, and actually it'll be fine by 5 o'clock. So you are managing your expectations. You really are. You're managing what is going on with your priorities. Very, very important to look at that. And then the last but not least is procrastination is a time killer. And that's probably because, it's okay when you're feeling productive to procrastinate. We're okay with that. But the minute you keep procrastinating, that means to me there's an issue. Not issue, I don't like the issue, but there's something in the actual what you do in terms of your to-do list, etc., that perhaps is not clear enough. So really need to look at that procrastination. I'm fine to procrastinate because it's on top of my, I've got my to-do list sorted, basically. So I do believe we need to recognize the bad days. I think it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to wake up, especially at the moment, to feel a little bit down. It's okay. Recognize it. Recognize when you are the most productive. I love the morning. I'm extremely productive in the morning. In the evening, don't ask me anything. I'm a little bit tired and my brain can't function. Some people are evening. My girl is evening girl. She just, in the morning, don't ask anything. We like the opposite. But that's okay. It's okay to try and, there's no point to try and change her because that's the way she is. So if she's better in the evening productivity-wise, then fine, be creative there. I've got a wall, I bought a paint that you can write on. It's brilliant. So you just put on the wall and you can write on it, or a great big, big kind of, papers, and I can write on it and I feel very productive in the morning, and that's my time. So recognize it and you'll find that, you'll feel better and you become more productive. Look at the steps you've achieved so far. And I feel that in a lot of ways, we don't look at what we've achieved. We looked at what we haven't done. Oh, I haven't done that. I should have done that. I didn't do that. But we don't look at what we've achieved. And what I've done with one of my clients, and it's very, very much, it's something that's brilliant that you could do. And I'm trying to find it now. It's something that I sat her down and I asked her, can you please look at the past 10 years and write down how much you was on 10 years ago? What did you used to do in terms of work? How did you feel on a personal level? What was happening in your personal and professional life, etc.? And it just, once you start really reviewing and recognizing how much you've achieved, you start feeling better. Because we tend to have that bad habit about going back to, oh, but I didn't, should have, could have. Go back to what you've achieved. We're amazing. We've done so much. Every single one of you that I meet, I'm amazed by how much you've achieved. But we need to start recognizing it. And feed the mind with affirmation. For me, it's very, very important that, I do affirmations. Some people might think, oh my God, she's sometimes I go out for my walk and I've got some kind of headphones on and it's all about, you are strong, blah, blah, blah. I love it. I found this American guy, I don't know who he is, but I'm just loving it. I just listen, yes, and I feel better. I like his voice. He's making me feel empowered. YouTube is brilliant for that. You can find a lot of people on YouTube doing all sorts of things. And, I listen to affirmation a lot. I think it helps me. It might not be your thing. It's okay. But try it. Maybe you haven't tried it. So to me, there is one magic key, and the magic key, ladies, is absolutely you. It's very much you. Sorry, I've kind of gone too far, but it's very much you. You are the magic key. You're the one who's going to change your mindset, your habit, and what you want to do. You're the one who's going to look at your to-do list. And it's okay if you haven't got the time, or if you haven't, you've got your children or whatever. But allocate what you want to allocate to start working on things, to feel better about things. It's such an important element of what is happening at the moment, for sure. And this is one of the sentences that, I keep saying to my clients: you can't control the uncontrollable, but you can control how you react to it. And I will send a little link to, a leadership blog that I did not long ago. We need to stop thinking we're going to control everything. And I think this is the scary bit at the moment is everything that's happening is not controllable. We don't know, and this fear of the unknown, but we can't control that. So we may as well react the way we know how to react, by structuring our days, by feeling a little bit more empowered, and by listening to stuff that is empowering you to do things perhaps in a different way. Because why not start thinking, when I do open the doors, I want to have my breakfast, I want to carry on yoga. Why not creating those impactful supports so you can, you know, kind of come out of there in a different, very, very different mindset and a very different way of looking at things. And as long as your budget is working out, as long as you know what you want in the long term, there's no reason why not. So, whew, here I am. So I have no questions as such, but does anyone have something to say? Andrea, anyone? You can unmute yourself if you wanted, one by one perhaps, if you wanted to say something, or send me a little chat and we can talk about that.
Well, just for me, Valerie, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. Much appreciate your time that you've given to us and to our members today, helping us. I know.
Oh, I'm losing you, Andrea. I think you've frozen. As in, everyone can hear me, can they? Can you all hear me? I'm losing. I'm going to take a little photo whilst we're having the thing. Great listening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nicola, for joining. Really, thank you. Did it help at all? Did you have anything to ask? Was there anything that you felt that, you know, you can relate to? You know, is there anything?
Oh, who's this one?
Oh, hello.
Why is it starting to record again?
Hello, can you hear me?
On to a new one. Oh, the keep in touch.
Hello, can you hear me, Andrea?
I can hear you now. You disappeared for a minute there.
I know, you've frozen as well. So sorry about this. I'm sure it will help me. Pamela, thank you. That's so great. Is there any other questions you wanted to ask me at all? Are you feeling a little bit more organized with what I'm saying? Is it really...
Oh, I said she hadn't been for ages, so she's like, oh, brilliant. You can send me stuff, I'll send you stuff. So she's like really happy she rang me. But so it sounds like you lot have done quite a bit. So.
Okay, so there's no other questions at the moment to have. So what we can do is send you a little list of the books that I was discussing to you. Sorry, I missed the beginning. It's okay, Sarah, do not worry. We kind of talked a little bit more about...
I'll go check to see what else is going on. She said that's fine. I explained the situation why you would be less on your work papers, but you got to be made up for it going out.
I still can't get over summer school.
Have we got someone who's trying to talk?
I don't know. I think there's someone else on it. Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like there's something happening. This is the thing with Zoom. I think they've been so busy with everything that obviously there could be a few hiccups, but I'm glad we've got everything. Now, I will send you the list of all the books that have helped me. We've got a few there, but obviously there are some things that I can put together for you to have a look at. But thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll talk again then. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye. Right, she's friend.